Somebody in the building. Come na chukuna ngala we have an issue. Hey, Nakachukwa kuna burochuku magana. Nabasa reba. Mama touch you not the Tumanukuna dido wakenega. Na fetch the laka no nete. Kuna magasi kwasia. Nagamu kusibiteri. Pana nyingi sijaliana. Pageza gonu bisha simuku wachana. That's if I try to get my anachukua kikaya mifasodia enu wabuku wachukua rodebuku imana bana bala kukupa sura kafasi wa asuna kafasi kukongo tuwa pike buleku kukwela ni peke la jani chulatu kafana kwasyo kuego pero lwatu nango kweku Mbino neku Anamuku subitari leo Ananyikisi kaliana Madenza kwanu bisasi muku wachaka Asili ya leo Akonyaka lenu Ifani wajaka kumaye Obina somu Obina somu Naka lenu naka lenu Onyaka somu
This is so good. Okay, my AI needs to work now. Wow. Wow. Who was the best dancer? Let's see what the family members are saying. Jennifer is giving us love. Madubuku, my sweetest. Look, I love Adobe. Let me make the AI to work. Come down to me. Come on. Good. So, Adobe said the song is really amazing. Adobe, what about the dancers? Okay, Olaleyi said, nice meeting you, ma. I'm new. Oh, sweetheart. You're welcome to the platform. Welcome, my darling. I was thinking, what do I do? But not today. I'll see you again, then I decide what to do with you. We really, in our Mind family, we really do welcome new members with a shout out. So shout out to you, Olaleye. And I love Ezine. Ezine, you're now always in my face. I love you. Say good evening, Nurse Angel. Good evening to you. Oluwakemi is sending love. He's sending love to us. Oluwakemi say we are looking amazing. Lolo Joy. I love you, Lolo. Good evening, my beautiful Nurse Angel. Always blessing us with your smile and swagalicious positive vibes. Yes, I think, okay, Madam Hope is at the backstage. She's not here. Where is Dr. Temi Tope? He's not yet in the stage, but that is fantastic. We are happy. Ngozi Ifoma Onuko Ali. Who is this? Someone is calling us from France. Let's see who is calling us from France. Oh my God. Hello, who is that? The person has called. No one should call us today. All right, this is my sweetest, this is my elder sister. One, you see, I call everyone former Onuko Alisiwe is my elder sister. She's senior the boy before me. Ngozi, this is the first time I look. My own sisters are not even coming to support me. It's others, outsiders that are coming. But today she decided to tune in because she thought her husband is coming. You know, her husband is a barrister of the law. So I said to him that we want him to join the resource persons because he is a stunt barrister of the law in Nigeria. We've been talking about law and all these practices. So I said to my sister today, I'm going to call your husband to come and support us with the legal frame, the legal guidance for the team. So she thought he's coming today, but he told me he will start next week, and that is why she's here. You don't enter trouble. Our family people, you are my sister. You should be here on a daily basis, but you're not here. I have other sisters online. Don't worry. I've replaced you, darling. Okay, Jennifer. Jennifer said, "Well." Abel, Abelistic Abel. Abel is, listen, house. I want to formally announce to you that Abel is not an admin. Abel is my personal assistant. Abel is my special advisor, whatever you want to call it. Abel will be with me permanently. He's my permanent secretary. Abel, you have been named personal assistant, special advisor, and permanent secretary. That is who Abel is. He is a wonderful man. My sister, my elder sister, Ngozi Ifoma Onuko, said I was present last week, off today. Can you imagine? You're counting days you're present. You should be here permanently, even at work. Okay, we have to start. Oh, look, look, I'm all my sister. This is my adopted sister, Irene. Irene Odunenen is my adopted sister. So, Irene, good evening. Thank you. You are always here. So, I have no issue or once with you. Irene, I'm going to give you something at the end of the talk show. Remind me. Yes, I think we need to start. Yes, today, let me go and see if I wrote something. Before we start, today we are going to talk about child rape. Child rape, child marriage, early marriage, whatever you want to call it. I call it child rape. And with me tonight is our one and only Professor Mariam Hamza. She is coming with the perspective from the north. You're going to be blessed tonight. And also, as you can hear her voice, is our one and only Dr. Hope. Dr. Hope is at the backstage watching me. She will soon abuse me now. So before we start, before I allow you to greet the house, because the house love you, they love you even more than me. Before we start, we are still waiting for Dr. Temitope to join. But before we start, I want to welcome Madam Dr. Temitope and Dr. Mariam and Dr. Hope. We have our 60th thousand follower. We just got our 68,000 follower. Her name is Grace Annie. Grace Annie, you know, our likes and followership is climbing. It was previously 50 something. When we started in September, it was about 30,000. It's growing and growing. The family members are working. You know, they are working as if their life depends on the numbers. They want in our mind to be in our mind to the world. So they are every day they are inviting, they are sending, they are tagging. People are blocking them. Facebook Mark is blocking them. They are creating new accounts, sending for followers, and our 60th follower is Grace Annie. Grace received the sum of 10,000 naira for liking and following our page. We will hear from her on Tuesday or Wednesday to see what she thinks about the platform. So, Grace, we want to welcome you specially because you are our milestone follower, our milestone follower. So welcome, Grace. Also, We have Mimicking Nos Angel program. Remember, it is closing on the 25th. If your children, son or daughter under the age of 18 has not done their video, please, 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 can you ask them to do it before it closes? We've been extending it. This is the last extension. And also, I will leave this one for the end of the show because we don't have much time. Thank you very much. Good evening. It is your nurse Angel in the house, and with me tonight is Mariam. Mariam, can you please unmute and greet the house, please? Unmute and greet the house.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. Nice to be with you, our family members, on our live show. Hoping we have a very interactive and very enlightening session. Nice to be with you today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And also in the house is Madam Dr. Hope. Dr. Hope, please unmute and greet the house.
Good evening in our mind family. We are here again.
Yes, good evening, Dr. Hope. We love you guys. You guys are amazing. Please mute because of interference. Mute for interference. So, before I start, I want to play, I have two videos to play regarding tonight's topic, which is the early child marriage. I have two videos to play, so please watch out. Watch out.
Heard that there is a place in Cross River State where parents still forcefully marry their daughters off in exchange for loan or debt, with or without the consent of the daughter. This type of marriage is called money marriage, where a girl child is used to repay loan owed by the parents. Maybe the parents could not afford to pay the loan as agreed. Then their young daughter is the second option.
They carry me, give my one, no like, collect money. I be still there small when they carry me get there. I know sabi where the thing happen before my uncle collect money for the man.
Welcome to Bechefe in Cross River State. This community still practice money marriage up to date, and it is openly accepted all over the community. I was told that some parents can marry their daughters off even before they were born in exchange for loan or debt, and the girls don't have the power to reject it. In the community, girls that are married off to repay loan are called money wives. They don't have the privilege to go to school because their only job is to satisfy the man and give birth for him.
See, as I never even reach 12 years, I can't carry the.
I was also told that a man without a money wife is not regarded as man enough to speak in a community gathering, and when he dies, he will not be given a befitting burial. It was said that men in the community are accorded respect according to the numbers of money wives they have. Despite outcries and protests for them to abolish this tradition, the people of this community are not giving any sign of ending this tradition anytime soon. Becheve is in Obanleku local government area of Cross River State. In this century that the world is moving very fast, it is unbelievable to think that some community are still living in the past. Please, what do you think about this?
What I think about this, honestly speaking, house, I think that child marriage is synonymous with statutory child rape. Honestly speaking, because the child in question is underage and cannot give consent. So, whatever marital rights that was performed is enslavement, perpetual slavery, and caging of the child before she even realizes that her future has been sold off by her parents. Anyway, it is forcing girls into adulthood before they are even ready. Before they are ready, you are forcing them into adulthood. Who does that? And again, it is for the satisfaction of the pedophiles. Yes, you may call them husbands, you may call them whatever you like, but I call them pedophiles. If you get married to a child of 5, 8, 10, you are a pedophile. Whatever marital rights you like perform is on your own. Anyway, the worst case scenario is that all this act is perpetrated most always by the parents or their relatives. So it's almost like the parents of these little children, girls especially. Remember, we are focusing on girls today. The parents of these girls are the perpetrators. That are the perpetrators. And the victim, as I said, is almost always girls. What is the case? What is the medical impact? I'll just quickly look at the medical impact and I'll allow our guests to go on. So the medical impact is that this child, this little girl, this infant, this baby girl, her organs are not even developed. Her organs are not yet fully developed too. Her organs like the uterus, the womb, the pelvis. I'm stressing these things. The womb of this child is not developed. The womb of this baby is honestly not, the child is still growing. These things are yet to fully mature, but you think you like them young. It's not even developed yet. She's made to be a mother. I think I will stop here. Yeah, I will stop here before I begin to cry. Tonight I'm not crying. It's so sad. Chica, it is honestly so sad. So before I come to you, Madam Miriam, I want to play another video. Dr. Hope, I want you to also be attentive. I want to play another video. Madam Miriam and Dr. Miriam, sorry, I'm going to take you to the backstage. I will also go to the backstage. So our family members will really understand the second video, because it's International World Health Organization video. I want them to really pay attention. So I'm taking you to the backstage and I'll take myself out as well to play this video.
And her children's future. Choosing whether to marry or not, and if and when to have children, is a fundamental human right enshrined in international law since 1948. But it's a right widely violated in countries around the world. In many African communities, girls are still viewed as commodities to be married off as early as possible. Once married, a girl forfeits the right to make decisions that affect her own and her children's future. These people are celebrating a wedding near Bahir Dar in northern Ethiopia. But in rural areas like this, ignorance of the law is widespread and tradition deep-rooted. Today's bride is just 4 years old. Just a few miles away, preparations are being made for another marriage. Nibret is 11. Tomorrow she'll be handed over to her husband's family. Neither Nibret nor her grandparents, who have raised her since her parents' death, have ever seen the groom.
Because this girl is only 12, she's already married, she's divorced, and she's selling liquors for her living. Down here, this is a 10-year-old girl. When she first came to us, we were so shocked that we took her pictures to remind us that there is a lot to do. Early marriage is very rampant in the northern part of Ethiopia. Girls of 8, 9, 10, 11 are married, and the parents do that for economic reasons, for alliances with good families, and then because they have no alternative to give to their girl children if they don't get married early, they think that there is nowhere to put them.
Okay. Yes. So, Dr. Temitope, thank you for showing up. You're showing up. We are still waiting for Madam Hope and Madam Miriam. Dr. Temitope, you're welcome. Before Madam Dr. Miriam, Can you hear me? Dr. Miriam? Dr. Miriam? I don't know if she can hear me. I will then start with Madam Hope. Dr. Miriam? Can she hear me?
Possibly she's doing something.
Dr. Miriam, I was calling you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. Dr. Miriam, a family member of ours, when they were watching the video, this is a comment because I was looking at comment. Look at her comment. Lillian King, who is my sister as well, said it's always out of greed that these parents give out their little girls. If we are to continue on that line, Madam Miriam, what do you have to say regarding early child marriage, child rape, pedophile, anything you want to say? What do you have to say about this?
You know, child marriage, no matter how we look at it, whether from cultural or religious angle, it's evil. It's evil, and I was so sad watching that video. The two videos, one from Akwa, from Calabar, and the other from Ethiopia. I mean, how can a child of 4 years old be married off? That is the height of abuse. I mean, in my place as a mother, how can I watch my child at that age be given out in marriage, you know? But apart from the greed aspect, one thing we should look at is the intensity of poverty that people undergo that makes them give their children out in marriages because of the value, the negligible value that is placed on the girl child. So it's easy for the girl child to be given out. If not for now, that more and more advocacy is being done on the girl child, she wasn't even considered as anything of value, you know. So it just it broke my heart just watching this video. Not like it's a new thing for me to see, but seeing the videos now again just tore me apart, you know. I'm sorry. It's really took me off balance just watching those videos, those two videos, because
I
this is
do.
just modern day slavery.
Oh,
It's
thank
modern day
you.
slavery. It's modern day slavery. No matter how we want to garnish it, religious factors, so societal factor, it's just slavery
Thank you
targeted
very
at
much.
females. Yes,
Thank
that's
you.
what it is. It has no other name.
Modern day slavery. Modern day
Yeah,
slavery.
it's
What
slavery.
else
That's what
can
it is.
we say? That I love that. I love that word. It is modern day slavery. It is, I remember when we read the history, we look at the slave trade, buying and selling of human being. Family, I'm going to read your comment. I love you guys. Slave trade, buying and selling of human beings. When the developed people came to Africa, Africans were taking money of the white man to sell their sons, their daughters, collect money, and they take them abroad, happy that they are going abroad. But these slave masters do with their slaves however they wanted. And you just use the term, it's modern day slavery for you to use because of poverty and sell off, collect dowry, collect bride price, collect money, collect whatever you want, or you look for linkage. And sometimes they look for the highest bidder to give their daughters. We are focusing on daughters. What is it? You're buying a child. You're buying a child that is not yet developed. And this man, this pedophile, is not a man, he's a pedophile. We go and sleep. How you lie on top of a baby? How can a pedophile, anyway, that's who they are, lie on top of a baby? So, Dr. Hope, I want you to unmute. I want you to unmute and tell us the root causes. What is the primary factor? I know they've all said it, but I want to hear from you, Dr. Hope, because you are in the field yourself. This is your area of expertise. So what is the root causes? What is the primary factors that will cause a mother or a father to sell off because they say the perpetrators are not strangers, they are not kidnapped? They are the fathers and the mothers. What would be the cause of this, Madam Hope?
Okay, just like I will always say, a female child has never been considered as a human being with the rights that God has given to every human being. They have never attached any value to a female child. Starting from the very time that the child is being born a female, as if it's a crime, is being looked as object of commodity, is being seen as object of sex too. And at any time, whatever culture, whatever anything, have right to sex or right to reproductive decision or reproductive health. All these things is playing out to the so-called culture in quotes. You know, when Dr. Miriam called it the modern day slavery, I also want us to understand them. The slave trade then was also known as slave traffic. Slave traffic, which is trade in human being, is what is still going on today. And when you look at it, she had also said poverty is there. Poverty is one, but I must tell you, is because there is no true love. A girl child has never been seen as a human being. They only see them as sex too. If we also call what they do, we call it debt bondage. It's a debt bondage. The child looking at this exact scenario in the video shared is a debt bondage. The child has been kept in bondage for the rest of her life as a means to repay debt. And but my question is, why can't they use their male child to repay that loan? There are some people that among them, the boys can be used to work in the man's farm as a way of paying back. If they are not looking at using females as sex too, why would they always use? The family will know this, because the same father that is giving out his daughter is also, as a man in that community, is also receiving his own. So they just brought that in to satisfy their selfish desire and whatever they call it. Because if you can afford, for you, from what the video said, if for him to be respected in that community, as he's giving out his own daughter, borrowing money and giving out his own daughter, he's also receiving money and collecting another person's daughter. If you look at it, for him, because all of them, they are practicing it. So as they are giving out their own daughter, they are receiving another person's daughter. Recycling. So tell me, that community is not even looking at if I should use the word prosperity, they're not even talking about future for that, because the community will recycle in poverty. These girls never go to school, and you find out they keep repeating the same thing. It's recycling, and this generation will see it and want to borrow it again, just because they have seen opportunity to enslave as more as. And these girls we are talking about, by the time they are maybe their first menstruation will be because the man having started raping and having sex with that girl, the body will be forced to start developing into womanhood. Maybe the first ovulation she will have or whatever, she will take in. And sometimes most of these girls will die in the process. And go and see, a lot of them are having this, is it VVF or whatever you call it, where because the body has not developed, the whole thing will tear. And the girls will be smelling the excreta, the urine, everything, until for those that are privileged to have where they will go and do surgery to correct it. Go to Ebonyi State today. These are similar things. You go to the north, you hardly see their young girls. They make them to become matured as early as possible because they see them as sex tool. And the worst thing is that even the so-called senators, the so-called people in high whatever, are even promoting it, hiding under culture and religion. Let me pause here.
Thank you, you're pausing because I was already shaking. I muted myself. So my sound, you won't hear my sound. Some people are shouting Jesus. Some people are shouting God. Some people are saying, can you imagine? Dr. Temitope, I want to come to you. But before I come to you, I want to say that I would like you. Oh dear me. Oh, my house is open. I would like you to look at the medical impact. Please close this door for me. Sorry, the breeze just blew my door open. I would like you, Dr. Temitope, from your medical background, can you tell us the medical implication of a young girl, a baby, a child? I'm sorry, I'm not exaggerating, but that is what she is. She's a child. But she's made, as our speakers have said, she's made to develop quickly for the pedophiles. For the pedophile, she's made to develop quickly so she can satisfy their sexual desires, and that thereby they are raping the child. So, Dr. Temitope, can you help us with the medical implication without forgetting her mental health as well?
Thank you very much. In our mind talk show. In our mind talk show, I want us to appreciate Nurse Angel. Nurse Angel, we can't praise you enough. Words are not sufficient to sincerely appreciate the value, the wealth, and the depth of your contribution to humanity. Again, posterity will judge you well. Thank you, Dr. Miriam. Thank you, Dr. Hope. Talk show. Appreciate the fact that tonight is a special night because the topic is very special. We're looking at the fact that early child marriage. Please, let's understand so that we will make meaning out of all that we are saying tonight. So I'm not going to be too technical. At the same time, I'm going to be very specific using some specific medical terms. Number one, there's what we call anatomy. Anatomy simply describes the basic structures of the body, basic structures, all right? And there's what we call physiology. Physiology simply refers to the specific functions that these specific structures of the body performs. Then there's what we call pathology. That is the abnormal functioning of these specific structures of the body. Now let me use these three terms to explain some specifics. Please, I understand you may not have that background, but please appreciate those terms: anatomy, physiology, and pathology. Now, anatomically, using the word anatomy, it is good for you to know where your hand is your eyes, your mouth, your nose, your mouth, your ear. You can see these are just what we call anatomy, just the positions of all of these parts. Now you have internal organs. All right. Now you have the physical ones you can see. Now for a child that is growing, all right, literally, like Dr. Hope rightly say and Dr. Miriam, those organs of the body have not fully developed. They are still undergoing development. All right, so we should appreciate that very importantly. For a child, let's take a good example from the point of, let's say, the mother and the child coming together, all right, and then fertilization occurs, and then gametogenesis occurs in the womb, or what you call embryological development. So different structures begins to develop, all right, gradually. And then at the point of delivery, parturition, the baby comes forth. Please appreciate the fact that these organs have not fully developed, even at the point of delivery, of parturition. You will expect that the child, as they are growing, all right, the leg is growing, the hand is growing, the head is forming, all right, the heart itself is not fully developed. All internal organs too are not fully well developed. They are still undergoing development. Now, there is one common language that most of us even know regardless of our field of studies. You may be in arts, you may be in humanities, you may be in social sciences, you may be in sciences or in medical sciences. And then we all know this common one because we are all human beings. Okay? When a child is growing, you just, oh, this child has reached the stage of maturity. You call that puberty. Now, look at this important part. These children have not yet attained puberty. These children's organs have not yet developed. And then you are now going to introduce what you call early child marriage, forced marriage, FORCE, forced. You forced them, you coerced them into the marriage. I love the language used by Los Angel, those pedophiles, those unhealthy creatures, those in
I think it's this network. I think it's this network.
sorry,
Okay, go on.
please.
That's fine. Go on, sir.
Okay, thank you. You see, culture only helps us to maintain what we call social conformity, to protect the society. Culture does not destroy the society. Any culture that aims at destroying the fabrics of the society, such society will not sustain or survive. Let's note this. Sorry, it is what I refer to as the evils, the evil that man does. These are evil creatures who brings in wrong and dangerous teachings, dangerous practices, and they want to hide under culture. It is no man's culture. Take, for example, you are a father. Would you want to do same to your own daughter? You are a brother. Would you want what others are going to happen to your own sister? So please, let's understand, these are evil men. These are dangerous beasts. They are not human beings who come under the guise of culture. So please, medically, the implication is that for a child that is not fully developed, let me explain it so that you will understand. There is one common language that we use. There is a common language. Take, for instance, a child that has not even attained the perfect stage of delivery. Okay? A child is supposed to be in the womb for 9 months, and the child comes before the 9 months. Such children are incubated so as to enhance that growth. There's what you call the, imagine, just let me not bring in some unnecessary medical terms. If such children that have not yet reached that particular age comes out, they will not be able to survive it. They will die. Now, imagine children whose organs are not properly developed, these little girls, and you are now subjecting them to adult life. The interpretation is that you want to kill them. You want to truly kill them. But don't forget, you are an evil person and you cannot survive. Number one, when we see such evil being done, we must speak out. And that is what In Our Mind talk show is doing. Please let me emphasize, we will not only talk about this, we will hope that we will be able to put forth documentations to government. We can enforce these things. We can go to the National Assembly of each nations of the world. We can go to the public media.
I'm
We
happy.
can not yes.
Yeah, I'm
So,
happy. Go on, sir. I'm
yes,
not tears of joy, sir. Go on, sir. Go on.
because it will be a thing of joy that all of us together, we are helping correct the ills in our society. Those particular societies, let's say in Cross River, in Ethiopia, that we still see these things, please, we must correct them. Because let me explain another thing. Now, apart from normal tears, there are damages to the internal organs, terrible damages. Now, I will hold on a little so that we can hear more. Then I'll come back to explain some of those things. Thank you.
Thank you. Just mutes are good. You guys are the best. I don't even know what to say. I think I told you to not forget their mental health as well, but don't worry. I'll just add more later. Let's be honest. The children that in fact, some of the children testimonials, some of these children testimonials is that when they grew up, they didn't even know what was happening. You see them, some of them are crying. They are not even crying because of the wedding. They are crying because they are tired as children. Some of them are happy, dancing. They are not dancing because of the wedding. They are dancing because others are dancing. They don't even know what is happening. When you see some of them as adults, they say, I never knew I got married. I didn't know what was happening. I just saw a man climbing me. Okay, so the mental health of these little children, even adult women, some adult women that are fully developed, 30 years old, 25 years old, 40 years, 35, when they give birth, some of them go through postnatal depression. They have a lot of they are either depressed, some of them begin to have post-traumatic stress disorder, and a whole lot of other mental health issues. But these are adult women. A lot of adult women go through this. Talk about the child. Talk about if adults cannot withstand childbirth. I couldn't. I have 3 children. Even the third child was, look, they have to throw me. I had to give birth. I did a water birth. You can never say it's not painful. If child delivery is painful to a full-grown woman like myself, and after that, I was like, I don't want this child. Go away. Because of the pain. Don't bring them close to me because I'm so much in pain. What about the child now? I don't know if you guys are getting it. I don't know if you're getting what I'm saying. If a full-blown woman have to start becoming depressed, suffering from traumas, undergoing stress, and even sometimes they are psychotic. It starts ringing as sometimes they go mental, a full-blown mental health issue. What about the child? I will leave it for now. I want you to talk about it later, Dr. Temitope, because I am not in a position. My own mental health will not be able to take it. If not, I'll bust out. I want to come back to Dr. Miriam. Dr. Miriam, we've been talking about somewhere in Cross Rivers. We are talking about Ethiopia. I want you, Dr. Miriam, to bring the northern perspective to this, based on also religion, culture, tradition, whatever you want to hold hands in, to talk about child marriage. I want to ask you a personal question. Can you share? Can you share any impactful story of a girl child who have overcome such marriage issues or who underwent such marriage, child rape? I don't want to call it marriage because it's dignified. We are giving it we are dignifying it to call it even child marriage. I call it child rape. My special advisor, my permanent secretary, Abel called me and said, Ma, is it child rape or child marriage? I said both. He said no, that he's seen child rape and I'm talking of child marriage. I say is one and the same. So, Madam Miriam, I want you to unmute and tell us if there is any personal story or someone close that you know from the north. Anything you want to say, let me mute.
Just like you, I didn't know this was going to hit me the way it hit me right from the very beginning. It's something we've lived with here in the north, but those two videos just hit me beyond what I thought it could. Everybody knows that in like ours, Nigeria, the northern part of the country has the most common practice compared to other parts of the country. I think when it comes to child marriage, it is what it is called, child marriage. Even though you're conceptualizing it as child rape, which is what it is, but it is child marriage. Let's go with what it's globally referred to. The northern part of the country, especially the northeast and the northwest, have the highest number of child marriages. And if I'm talking about personal experiences, I've experienced, not personally, but I have people around me, young people, young girls that have experienced this, that have been put through this. There was a girl that was brought to me, I think she was 11, and there was so much pressure to take the girl away from me, so much pressure. I didn't even know what was going on. It was just a few days before the marriage, I was told that she was going to be married off. The girl cried her eyes out because she had lost her parents. So it was the relatives that were now enforcing that culture, that practice. And that was what it was. She went off and got married. And I didn't see her until 2 years later. She came and she wasn't looking like she was in her right state of mind. She had totally transformed, nothing to write home about. So when I asked, she said no, that she had to run away actually. And that is one heavy implication of these child marriages. You know, some of these children, some stay, but a number of them run away. A number of them run away and turn into prostitution. Not just prostitution now, they turn into drugs. I've seen young girls in Kano who ran away from marriages and they were with the gang of drug users. And I saw one girl, she wasn't more than 14 or 13, heavily pregnant, heavily under the influence of drug. When I asked questions, it was as a result of this child marriage. I think some years back too, this issue of child marriage came up in Kano as well, where this girl was forced into marriage. At the end of the day, what did she do? She poisoned them, both her husband, his friends, and some other children who ate from the food she cooked. This is just to tell you the mental state of these children. They are not ready. I got married at 22 years, but you can imagine, even at 22, I was still very, very naive as an adult at that age. How much more a child of 10, 11, 12?
How much
I've
more?
had a girl who came to my house with a baby. She wasn't also more than 15. At that age, she was divorced already.
Ah,
Because She was divorced already. He had moved on. The man had moved on. He was done. He has used her. He had moved on. She was
Madam,
now leveled up.
Doctor, tell
The
me,
baby was
Doctor,
barely,
Doctor Miriam, sorry.
yeah.
Is the intention to destroy girls? Is the intent
That is
because
just like this.
is the intention to destroy girls? Because, like you said, at 15 years of a child, she's divorced. At 15
Yeah.
years,
She was
imagine when
divorced. Yeah.
she was already divorced. Sometimes
Yes.
when these pedophiles, um, you know, go and forcefully penetrate, forcefully rape a child in the name of marriage, um, they still go and look for their mates to still sleep with. Are they just trying to quickly destroy girls before they are grown? Is it a kind of hunt for female destruction? What is this all about? Thank you very much, Dr. Miriam. Do you want
It,
to say something? Or should I go to Dr.
yeah,
Hope?
yeah, it has a cultural and religious angle to this. Like one of the religious angle to this is that every father's wish is to see his girl child married off successfully. You know, that is a religious injunction. However, they are misinterpreting these religious scriptures to suit selfish desires. That is what it is. Because you're trying to take this girl away from being sexually molested if she's not married, but you're taking her to a pedophile, like you said. So what's the difference? It doesn't make
Oh,
any sense.
oh, dear me, dear me, dear me. Thank you
Yeah.
very much. Thank you very much. Please, if you can mute, I want to go to Dr. Herb. I think I saw, Dr. Herb. I want to just quickly read some family members' comments I tagged. You see, Emanuela say, I think some parents are physically weak demons with no conscience. Madubuku Adobe, my sweetest of all hearts, said, please, is government not seeing this? And why will they not try to stop these people and know the serious, or are we females born by mistake? Pam said, can't everybody's talking about government. Can't the government do something? Olaleye said they have killed the future of these kids already. Khadija said, I don't know why some parents think that girls are not important. Pasege said, governments really need to intervene. Chisom said, which kind of poverty will make a parent to give out a child at the tender age? Emmanuel again lastly said, no, no wonder the Bible said the heart of man is desperately wicked. 4 years of age, monkey. So, Dr. Herb, I want to say to you, I know that you are involved in agencies, international organization. You are also a representative of the women group, like what do you call it? Organization for vulnerable girls. You're looking at representing and pushing cases for them. My question to you, Dr. Hope, is how can international organizations and governments collaborate more effectively to address, as our family members are saying, how can international organizations, the NGOs and governments come together to look for ways to stop this child abuse?
Okay. Um, I'm happy the families are asking these questions. And I want to call our attention to the last video which when you see it, you find out that the United Nations is fully aware of all these things that is happening, and there is a convention on the child rights that this convention on the child rights, which Nigeria is also um, a signatory to the convention, and Nigeria, as we know, has also domesticated it in Nigeria in the name of Child Rights Act in Nigeria, which is at the Federal Capital Territory, the FCT. But before we talk about Nigeria, we also have the African own. There is also a convention on the child rights when you talk about from the African Charter, which equally recognize the role and responsibilities of a child from the African perspective. But this Child Rights Act is only implemented at the Federal Capital Territory. For any state in Nigeria to implement this Child Rights Act, it has to be domesticated at the state level and known as the Child Right Law. And I want us to know that it's so painful when we talk about this. I know, like when Mariam was talking, I know that a lot of scenarios from the north where some of these girls, not just poisoning them, some of them had even been shown on the social media that either they stab the man or they commit suicide, one thing or the other, to show you that they cannot stand what is happening. Because one is that they don't even see sex as a natural relationship. They see it as a violence because they are practically being raped. So it's either the girl child stabbed the man and kills murder. They will now accuse her of murdering the man, diverting the whole issue. But I want us to know that the effort, this child right law act has been as early as 2000, 2003. 2003. At the same time, the trafficking in persons prohibition law, all of them at the same time. There was a series of advocacies, a lobbying and everything that called the attention of the government at the federal level, after which all the law were being domesticated at each state. But we find out that most of the states from the south and from the southeast, like Anambra State was one of these among the first states that domesticated it in 2004, the Child Right Law of Anambra State, which also made provision that prohibits not just child marriage, and they also prohibit child betrothal, because you know that sometimes some of these things is even as immediately the child is being born, the child is being betrothed out. We found out that sometimes some of these men, they especially in the north, they use their daughter as a gift to their friends. They will just pick any of their daughter and give to their friend as a gift, and no matter how old the child is. And the painful aspect of it, which I'm bringing to our knowledge, is just like Dr. Mariam talked about, they hide it under the name of culture and religion. And that's the most painful aspect. And because of this, most of the states in the northern part of the country, they were reluctant domesticating this child right law because of that aspect. It was a very serious issue, and some of them, if we recall, there was a time the issue of Senator Yerima came up, marrying an Egyptian girl, a child from Egypt that he married and brought into Nigeria, and it was in social media, everything, you know. But he finally hid under the religion and the provision, and they were not even able to prosecute him, because he had to look at say that this is Zamfara, They have their Sharia law and all those stuff. There is no child right law, and the Child Rights Act could only be implemented at the Federal Capital Territory, and these are all these whatever. But the truth remains, even at his age, even as somebody who is the government, the representative, the people we have said, whether we elected or whether they selected or whether whatever, they are the government personified we are talking about, and these are the people perpetrating this act. So tell me, how can that issue be solved? And they hide under the umbrella of religion and culture, and that case never saw the light of the day because of all these whatever. So what I want us to note now is that we are saying that our destiny is in our hand. And as we are saying our destiny is in our hand, I'm also saying that our God is also the custodian of our destiny. We have a role to play. It's because people don't love. There is no love for humanity, and there is no fear of God. That is what is behind all these things. If people truly fear God, if people really see that every child that came to this world is a gift from God, people that don't have children are praying and crying and subjecting themselves to all manner of things to have just even a daughter, just even to have a girl, to have any child, whether a female or male. People that have their female children are now abusing and using them as if they are not human beings. If we begin to talk about things around, it's so painful. But I want us to know that the states, like in Anambra State Child Right Law, has provided anybody that gives out a daughter that below the age of 18 years, that betrothed any child below the age of 18 years, both families will be arrested.
Oh, good.
And
Good.
they will face the law. I'm sure that it's not less than 5 years. I cannot quote precisely now, but I know that the imprisonment is not less than 5 years.
You cannot destroy a child's life and go free. So, Dr. Hope, are you finished?
Let me leave it at this point.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hope. I love what you said in the end. But before I come to you, Dr. Temitope, our incoming admin, Dr. Temitope, just quickly, mine is a family. Part of being a family is equitable share of being admin on the platform and what have you. So we have a rotational system because we want everyone to feel a sense of belonging to the platform. So Chain Talk here is our incoming admin. Hopefully he will soon start. So Chain Talk, just to Dr. Hope, you might need to mute. I have muted you. Just to buttress what Dr. Hope said, Chain Talk said domesticating the Child Act by states, houses of assembly is impressive. But there's something I want to say. Yes, I hear you. And yes, Dr. Hope, I hear you, because it's not that we lack laws, Dr. Temitope. In fact, we have too much laws that we need to cut some off so it will be clearer, because the more they create law for one thing, the more there is loophole, because whatever you do, like they say, the white man that did the pencil also created an eraser to clean it off. So the more laws that are created, the more loopholes you see for them to say, I'm not domesticating it. No. But I don't think that is enough. If you ask me, any lawyer you meet, anybody you touch, they will say to you, like Dr. Hope rightly said, they have not yet domesticated it, but that is irrelevant. That is important, but again, that we already have a law that covers it. But one thing you need to know, just like Dr. Hope have reminded us, we have senators, our lawmakers. Our lawmakers are indulging in they are pedophiles. Some Some of them, like the one he mentioned, is a typical pedophile. Nothing more, nothing less. Whether he likes it or not, he is a pedophile for raping a child of 13. Whatever marriage right or laws or whatever they like, let them say they did. He is a pedophile raping a minor child. That is a rape. If he climbed a 13-year-old baby, is a rape and is punishable by the rape laws as well as the Child Act law. So I want to say this to you, Dr. Temitope. First of all, the reason why child rape and why pedophiles still exist is because there has been no concrete pronouncement, like Dr. Hope is trying to say, by the Supreme Court. Let's be honest, until there is such a concrete pronouncement by the Supreme Court, child rape will generally continue. Nonetheless, Dr. Temitope, nonetheless, we have Supreme Court, we have Constitution of Nigeria that also acknowledges the age of a child. Even in Nigerian Constitution, a child under the age of 18 cannot even vote or be voted for. And they also stipulated the age of a marriage, which is under anything above 18 years of age. Therefore, the benefits of judicial pronouncement by, like, the Supreme Court or higher courts, Dr. Temitope, especially, as I said, by the Supreme Court, is that if they make a pronouncement on this, which is what Dr. Hope is saying, because they have not domesticated the Child Act. So if they make a pronouncement on it, it will be adopted automatically. Every other court will adopt it. Therefore, Sharia law, customary law, whatever law, we have to answer to the supreme law. Remember, we said it last week that wherever there is a contradiction in laws, the Supreme Court takes precedence. Nonetheless, Dr. Temitope is already there in the Supreme Court law, in the Supreme Law Constitution. The only issue why this still exists is because no one has fought it. No one has fought it to the highest court. No one. Like they say to you, they've not domesticated it yet. The reason is there has not been any challenge of this to the Supreme Court. Because if they fight up to the Supreme Court will now therefore make a pronouncement. I don't know if Dr. Temitope is still there or if he's frozen. So the Supreme Court, Dr. Hope, I hope you're hearing, when, yes, they need to domesticate, whatever, but there's a law that is supreme and is there already. People don't go to it, even if it's not domesticated, because we have Supreme Court that has the Constitution that depicts everything, and no one has fought it to the Supreme Court. What do we see? No pronouncement is made until and when there is such like, if we, like Dr. Temitope said, in our Mind Talk show, is okay. I think he's at the backstage. In our Mind Talk show is a pressure group. You didn't call it a pressure group, but I think what you meant is that in our Mind Talk show is a pressure group. And we are becoming a global name. Every household, at least if they are not part of us, they see what we are doing. It's a pressure group. So until we fight, we come together and decide to a kind of sponsor a case to the Supreme Court and get them to make a pronouncement, because the law is there. It's just that people don't go. People don't use it until, like Dr. Hope said, there is already pronouncement in some states, like she gave examples. If the Supreme Court makes a pronouncement, every other state will. You're unmuted, Dr. Temitope. So the question I have for you, I don't know if it's frozen again. I'll just ask in case he hears me. The question for Dr. Temitope is, how effective, Dr. Temitope, the question now to you is, how effective are the current legal frameworks in preventing child rape? And where do we fall short? How effective is our current legal framework?
Okay. Yes, let me quickly come on board. Again, thank you in our Mind Talk show. In our mind, always in my mind, and our destiny is in our hands.
I love that.
Now, if you permit me, I will really desire to do two things very briefly.
Please
Because the medical perspective,
yeah.
thank you. Now, I'm going to start with the legal perspective, then I'll go to the medical perspective. The legal issue is this: the constitution of the land is the ground norm. It simply tells you that that's the final authority. Like you're rightly saying, the Supreme Court is a court of policy. In other words, the decisions of the court, the outcomes of the Supreme Court, the judgments of the justices of the Supreme Court, directly and indirectly, are policies in the land, becomes the laws of the land. Again, yes, the Constitution tells the final decision on every matter. On any matter that that is contained in the Constitution. So the first thing is, yes, waiting for the Supreme Court judgment may not be as powerful as we're waiting for because it can take ages. But where a law exists, and like Dr. Hope rightly did say, the issue of domestication also matters. But you see, not only the Child Rights Act, there are other laws, subsidiary laws, that are already domesticated that we can thrive on. So that somebody is doing this child rights, of course. Let's even go to Section 33 all through to Section 44 of the Chapter 4 of the Nigerian Constitution, 1999, as amended. This simply spells out the fundamental human rights. Now, in an instance where a child, a minor, is being raped, my people, the law is not deaf or blind to it. There are laws that actually prohibit it. It's against the fundamental right of the child. And automatically the court will give a pronouncement. So we don't have to wait for the Child Rights Act to be domesticated. Even the Constitution is sufficient enough. And there are other parts. Now, let's very briefly, let's learn something in our Mind Talk show. When we talk about early child marriage or child rape, my people, it is dangerous. It is unhealthy. It is not good. Like Nurse Hope rightly did say, apart from the mental health, apart from the psychosocial effect, all right, it affects the mental brain. Of course, let me explain this. The first major tissue that is formed from the point of fertilization is the brain, the neural plate. Now, that is where most of the activities originates from. You see, when you create activities that affect the brain, it affects every other part of the body. So please, let's learn something. Mentally, the child becomes unstable. Emotionally, she becomes unstable. And psychosocially, or better still, socially, she can no longer socialize. Let's understand. You see, the interpretation is this. If you permit me, I will want to go a little medical, all right? And please pardon me for using some medical terms on a public space like this. All right, so you will not pick offense. It's just like I'm a teacher in the class, and if I have to teach my students, all right, about cesarean operation, and I'm mentioning some anatomical structures and asking them to resect or do one or two things, it's normal because they must know it. So when we talk about the fact that a minor is being raped, a minor is being subjected to sexual interaction, the danger is that, of course, let's appreciate, number one, the anatomical tissues there, the vagina, the cervix, they are not sufficient. They are not developed enough. All right. So the danger is that you're going to create a tear. So automatically there's going to be an abnormal opening. All right. And the danger is that usually because of the structures there, all right, most of them have lumen, they have openings, they are like hollow shape. All right. The danger is that if you tear a part, that part will also have to keep communicating. Let me give you an example. If I have a nylon, and in the nylon there's another nylon, a nylon kept inside the nylon, and the nylon is also in another nylon. Each of the nylon have an hollow shape. The danger is that if I tear the first one, then it's going to start connecting with the second one. Do you understand? That is what a fistula is really referring to. You have created an opening from the initial nylon, which is now communicating with another nylon. So that opening is what we call a fistula. You have created a damage to the first tissue. And that damage is now affecting that tissue, is creating another damage to another tissue. You see, each portion of the body is constricted, is naturally created to work within a specific environment. But the moment you create an extra interaction or an abnormal opening, the danger is that that communication, because it is not meant to be, will create more damages and more openings. So now you're going to see what you call a urogenital fistula, which is an abnormal communication between the ureter and the bladder. All right. And the danger is that it also has the capacity to also interact with the uterus and the cervix. So you see the uterus, the cervix, and the vagina now. These are all hollow shape. Now they are interacting with each other. But please, that medical term, vesical vaginal fistula, it means that opening is between the different structures of the body and they are communicating. Now, let me tell you something very briefly, very, very briefly. You see, if I have my eye, there is a socket in the eye. That socket in the eye has capacity to connect to other parts of the body. If there is an abnormal opening within the socket of the eye, it will increase the intraocular pressure. It will also create damages to both the inner or abnormal connection and this particular tissue. So please, for those pedophiles, those abnormal human beings who are damaging the tissues of these little girls, they need to learn a lesson. One of the lessons that they must learn at the immediate is this. If you subject and condition such children to such abnormal condition, do you know the danger? Most times they abandon those girls with their medical complicated issues. When you abandon them, do you think you can never be at peace? You cannot be at peace. That girl is not praying for you. And number two, that girl is thinking of a time to revenge. All right? As she passes through that pain, all right, please understand, she is thinking of what she can do for you. I may not have time to explain medically between the ureter, the bladder, and the urethra, between the vagina, the cervix, and the uterus. These are different anatomical positions in the body or structures of the body that are being complicated, that are being damaged. And you see, for us to get something to go home today is that if I have a lumen, an opening that is abnormally connecting to another one, that is where a fistula comes in. And when that fistula occurs, it has the capacity to continually, that's where the little girl passes through. There's what we call urinary incontinence. Please understand, the urine now are being retained and they are abnormally creating abnormal conditions for her. That's why she smells. She smells. If she goes anywhere, you see, she can no longer even control her urine again. The cervix has been dilated. The abnormal tissues there, the tissues that have become abnormal, they have been destroyed, distorted. And you put them under that condition and you think you can be healthy. As a man, you can never be healthy. Please understand. I may have to stop here, but please, while I'm stopping, the law is not silent, my people.
No.
The constitution of the land is not silent. It has no hiding place for them. The danger is that we are not prosecuting them. We are not pressing charges. litigations are not being done.
No.
We should be, take a good example. If 1, 2, 3 persons faces the law, and let's not lie again, we have some very bad eggs within the law enforcement agency. These bad eggs, what they do is that, one, they deliberately will not allow you, because most often they become the prosecutors. You report to them, they have to prosecute the case, they go ahead and take bribe. But the only way out is this. Let me tell us. There are also NGOs that are ready to fight. One of them is Nurse Angel. Identify those cases. Call Nurse Angel. She will call me. We will go there. We will go to the courts. Not only that, there are other NGOs. Dr. Miriam is there. Dr. Hope is there. Call us. We will go. We will provide a pro bono, free service, free legal services. Thank you very much.
Listen, thank you. If you mute, we have already done so before. There was a case brought to our platform before you came to join the team, Dr. Temitope. Thank you for the brilliant speech. And this case, people were like, oh, he's old, he's outdated, he's 100 years ago, he's 300 years ago, but they failed to understand, like you rightly stated, and like I have said, the only reason why evil persists is because good people do nothing. And let's be honest, the law is there. I know about Child Act and domestication, but listen, the law is there. All we need to do is pursue cases, and I have said it, I've opened it. We are pressure group in our mind family. And Dr. Temitope, excuse me, thank you for the lovely pitching and everything. But you called me, you called Dr. Hope, you called Dr. Miriam, but you failed to acknowledge in our mind family. These are our leg soldiers. These are the people that go out. They go on outreaches and they go to wherever we want them to go to. Can you unmute and also include in our mind family before I continue, please?
In our mind family. See, I don't get another family now. Only when I get to, no could I don't drive me come up for house. So in our mind family, you are the greatest of the greatest in our mind family.
Let me tell you the truth, Dr. Temitope. If they call me, I will still call them. If they call Dr. Hope, she will still call me to call them. She's laughing. Every time she's laughing at me. Whatever I say, she laughs at me. These people are our foot soldiers that in our mind family got to 60,000 followership within 4 months is in our mind family members, the platform. So they do not sleep. If you post something by 3 a.m., they respond. If you post something by 3:30 a.m., they respond. What about midnight? Midnight is morning for them. Sometimes you wonder, these are people going to work tomorrow. But because in our mind is always in their mind, they are awake round the clock to ensure that the family is growing. So therefore, as you called us, they are in our mind, and we are all in our mind family, but they are the actual foot soldiers that will do the work we want them to do. So thank you for including our family members. I want to share this before I ask, I don't know who to ask now. Is it Madam Miriam? Yes, I think it is. So I want to share this post I saw by Uwaja. He said laws in Nigeria are millions, just like we all identify. But are we practicing it? I will go to the next one. He said again, the best way to stop child abuse is education. Educating the rural people. So, Dr. Miriam, I'm coming to you, Dr. Miriam. So, Ubo Alger said educating the rural people in areas where those early child marriages are practiced. So, Dr. Miriam, taking note of what Ugo Alger said, I want to just quickly add to him, then ask you the question. Child rape, as I call it, child rape, predominantly affect girls. We all have stated it, including Dr. Temitope. And often Often, it occurs due to poverty, cultural and religious norms, gender inequality, lack of education, a crisis situation, and what have you. The consequence, Dr. Miriam, is that it gives, like Dr. Temitope has said, health risk like early pregnancy and destruction of what Dr. Temitope said. It also disrupt not just the health of the child, it also disrupt the future. It disrupt their education. It creates perpetual poverty. Because if this child at the tender age of 8, 9, 10, 6, 5, 11, 12, 13 is uprooted from her education to go to marriage, and they say they'll send her back to school, what happens? She starts getting pregnant. She starts training her own children. A child training a child. What is the outcome of it? That little child she's training, she will also give her out in early marriage. In most cases, it also affects their mental health, their psychological health, as well as their social health, as Dr. Temitope has said. So my question to you, Dr. Miriam, is what does the future outlook hold for these little girls? What does the future outlook look like in the fight against child marriage? What will become of them? And how can we fight against it? What do you think? What is the future for this little child? And how
You
can we
know,
fight?
okay. Dr. Hope talked about the domestication of these laws. That is where the main problem is. Like, we have rightly identified that in northern Nigeria has the most prevalence of child marriage. And if you look at it, 12 states of in northern Nigeria are practicing the Sharia law, meaning that the issue of domestication of the law, it's in breach. They've already breached it.
It's far away.
So it's far away, truly. The implementation is going to be far, because the culture and the religion intersect. There's no way to separate the two. So fighting is what I do not understand. But what we can do, legally fighting it is not something that I don't know how it's going to play out in northern Nigeria especially. But it now boils down to sensitization of society. The parents have to be enlightened more and more of the dangers of child marriage, what it does to the child, the girl child, mentally, physically, you know, her mental health too. All of these things have to be put on ground. Let the people, let the parents of these children really understand. Some know already, but like we have rightly said, one of the greatest symptoms, one of the greatest root cause of this child marriage is poverty. It's poverty. Most families want to take away that economic vulnerability away from themselves and put it on the family, on the man they're marrying out this child to, taking of that liability of them. So it is about poverty. So, but unknown to them, or whether they know it or not, the poverty circle continues. The poverty circle continues because by implication, the girl, even if she turns into adult, it still continues. You haven't empowered her. You just married her out without any form of empowerment, without any form of education. So what exactly are you giving her? So it boils down to, I don't know about the law fighting in northern Nigeria. It's only a sensitization and advocacy that can really, really work. Educating and enlightening parents on the dangers. And like I told you right from the beginning, the implications are so many, the effects of child marriage. If the girl remains in the marriage, the poverty circle, the unhealthy children she'll breed, she's not even able to, because she's not even an adult when she was given, so she's not even aware of what she should do. So even the children she gives birth to can't be taken care of properly. No way. So that aside, for the second category of girls that are being married, they end up committing domestic violence
Yeah.
and even homicidal cases against them now, killing of their spouses and killing of people involved. That is another case. Another issue that comes up when it comes to this child marriage, it's also these young girls, when they refuse to stay, they run away.
Oh
They
yeah.
run away and get
Good.
involved in
Yeah.
prostitution.
Oh yeah. That's true.
They run
That's
away and run into prostitution and become sex slaves, sex workers elsewhere.
that's true.
If you go to
But
cheaper garages,
Dr.
you see a
Temito,
number of girls.
Dr. Miriam, you said they
Yes,
become sex slaves. They are already sex slaves when they
workers.
were given out in marriage. That when you
Exactly.
give
And now
out
they
a
become sex
price,
workers.
when you collect a price, and number one, they are enslaved
Mm,
by collecting money for her bride price.
yes.
Sometimes they
Yes.
are in the stomach. When you go and check, it's a
Mhm,
girl. You sell her away. You collect bride
mhm,
price. That is trade by selling human being. So they are already
mhm.
sex slaves by the nature of the so-called. I don't call it marriage. I call it giving them to
Or that
pedophile.
arrangement, yes.
Yeah, it's not arrangement. I won't call it marriage. I cannot dignify abuse of a child. It is giving a minor out for rape by a pedophile. That is what it is. Which we have laws, like Dr. Temitope said. There are laws. We have a lot of laws, but we've not pursued it yet, which we will, hopefully. So I don't know if you want to continue or if I should ask Dr. Hope question and we'll quickly round up with Dr. Miriam. Okay, I think Dr.
No,
Hope has the same.
these are basically, in conclusion, these are the lifelong implication of this child marriage or child rape, like you have actually given it a nomenclature. That is what it is. These are the lifelong implication that run in circle. And it's deepening, just that because we are not talking about it, that is why it's continuing and it's deepening, and the implication it's touching quite a number of sectors of the society. So the one thing that we can do is find ways to alleviate this poverty, find ways to alleviate poverty. And I think one of the ways to alleviate poverty is by empowering even the mothers, empowering the mothers of these girl children, and even the fathers as well. Because the more a mother is empowered, is enlightened, I think she will bring some kind of also contribution when it comes to decision making in the family. And she could, in one way or the other, determine somehow what happens to her children. So we have to really focus on empowerment of even the mothers first, empowerment and enlightenment, education. Education is very key. I think if the more educated women are, the better for society at large, starting
Yes,
from their family.
the
Yes,
more educated women are, the better for the
yes,
society at large. And
yes.
apologies, Dr. Mariam. Whilst I agree with you 100%, I also, when I say 100%, I mean 90%. I also want to beg to differ because some of these people are educated. Some of these family members that give out their children in child marriage, they are educated. But probably there is difference between academic education and awareness,
Yeah.
of
Mm.
such. Because we see a lot of educated parents giving out their children in marriage. Some of them, as you guys have said, poverty and everything. So education goes in the bin, and because they're still looking for job. I think a lot has to be said about this. But I want to come quickly to Dr. Hope. But before I come to Dr. Hope, please mute Dr. Miriam. I've muted you, so you've unmuted yourself. Okay, thank you. I want to ask the family members a question. Family, what do you think about child rape? That is what I call it. I don't call it marriage at all. It's not. It's not. Marriage is an institution that is entered by two adults consenting. This is not. My parents can consent for me. And remember, marriage is about the two persons coming together, not my dad coming together on my behalf. So, what do you want to call this child abuse, child rape by pedophile male? Is it marriage or is it rape? Let's hear from you. It's pure child abuse. I love Lucia. Lucia, I saw what you wrote. You said your husband asked you between sleep and Los Angel, which one will you choose? You said you choose Los Angel. I also choose you. Yes, bad network. I love Fudge. Yes, I ask, is it rape or is it child marriage? Isn't they said child rape? He's complaining of network, alleviating of poverty. So, Dr. Herb, I want to ask you a question. And the question, before I ask the question, I want to read a comment by Chijoke, our admin. So Chijoke said, who else, if not our children, will shape the future? And who else, if not adults, will make sure to eradicate such abuse once and for all? And I agree with her. So my question to you, Dr. Hope, is, coming from your NGO perspective and your on-the-ground field work, the global effort, Dr. Hope, the global efforts to combat child marriage involve enforcing laws that you said. You've always talked about domestication of these laws, which you're right, that will remove any effort by individual to challenge to Supreme Court or higher court. Like we have magistrate court, we have magistrate court, that's the lowest court, we have the high court, we have the Court of Appeal, then we have the Supreme Court. But to remove us going to courts, you've talked about domesticating it, whereby we'll just lay hold on it and act. So the global efforts to combat child marriage involve enforcing laws, promoting education, as Dr. Miriam has said repeatedly, and enforcement of it as well. Changing community attitudes, as the family members are talking about, providing economic support, as we all, like Dr. Hope, you've talked about poverty, and also adhering to international agreement, looking at human rights convention that is even helping us to a kind of protect our own. I don't know why it's international laws that will help us to protect our own. And yet we say culture is perfect. I've also said culture generally have good laws and norms, but there are specific aspects of culture that is bad. And when I say it with all my energy and strength. Anybody that, if you like, put knife on my throat and say culture is good, I say it depends. There are good aspects of culture, but there are there are some bad ones, like this child marriage. You can see it in culture, you can see it in religion. So in such aspect, Dr. Hope, my question now to you is, what do you think can be done to prevent this in our religious bodies and our cultural?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
The network is truly bad. I couldn't hear the last statement you made.
The question is, what do you think can be done to combat this once and for all? Like
Okay. It may not be a once and for all thing, but like we said, Rome is not built in a day. This practices started at a point, and anything that has beginning must surely have an end. But it depends on the people, the generation. This is our own generation now. We will decide if we want to continue to carry on these barbaric culture and hand it over to our own children. Because whatever we are doing in this family, we kept saying we are the agents of change. When we said that our destiny is in our hand, it's now for us to decide if we want this to continue. If we are looking at the elderly ones, the people that are falling victim and people that are perpetrators, targeting them may not really. So we'll rather channel our energy in catching them young, channel our energy in working now that we are the people. If I'm coming from the northern part of the country and I've seen the effect of this, Dr. Temitope was using all this, his grammatical whatever, but I will always speak in the layman language. That what he's trying to say is that the medical effect of this is that these girls will have a problem where they cannot control their urine and their excreta will be coming out. They don't have a time. They will say they want to use the toilet. It will be coming out and it will be smelling. And because of the so-called culture and religion, they will just pronounce them divorce. They will divorce them and abandon these girls. And they will suffer for the rest of their life. And just like he said, you wouldn't know what the pains and the abandonment and everything. That's the way they won't begin. They will not see themselves as human being again. They're smelling. Some of them will start wearing pampers, and some of them, I know that there are some organizations that have targeted some of these states where this thing is on a high rate, trying to give free surgery to correct some of those things. But you find that they will abandon them and go and look for more girls to because their religion say they can wake up and divorce them. And this is their life has come to an end. The children they brought forth into the world, the poverty, you cannot, if you are talking about empowering these people, yes, but we have looked at, there is a research that was carried out looking at the nexus between women economic empowerment and gender-based violence. It was also found out that because these men, the women are their property, anything the woman has is their own. This same man who will, at the end of everything, will divorce this woman. Even before he divorces her, whatever empowerment you give to that woman, the man will collect it and marry another, use the same money and marry another wife. Do you understand? So we find out that sometimes it's not even the solution. So what we are looking at now is solution starts from us. When we within our environment, because it's a family thing, the family of the girl and the family of the husband. So most of the time, you don't expect the family to go and report themselves. There is is a sensitive issue. It has to be a third party. It has to be somebody by the side who saw that this family has given their daughter into marriage to another family that will go and report. It can come up to this our platform. Such cases can be reported, and we will follow it up. We'll follow it up and make sure the state arrests them and prosecute them. If we are waiting for the relatives or the victims or the family, nothing will be done. It's because of the sentimental around family ties and all these things that these things is being practiced. Except people begin to take up with what we call whistleblowers or informants. People taking it up and bringing information, every detailed information, and a group like in our Mind family can take it up to begin to make sure that with the law of that land, those families are being prosecuted. I think when we begin to take it up from this angle, not just the awareness, but the action, the enforcement, when we begin to take it up, people will begin to see, it's no longer business as usual. So while we are doing that, we can also target children in school. We remember there is a particular video that was played for us when we are talking about girl child. A girl that wanted to go to school, they want her to go and marry. She said she wanted to go. We saw it. They were like, how many men held in her, and she was being flogged. Most of us that were in this platform, we saw it. We watched it. Some of us saw it when it was the video went viral. This girl was tortured. You saw the brutality against this girl child because she want to go to school. So what we do now is that who take it up in our states, in our locality. I know there are people from Ebonyi State here. There are people coming from this Cross River where these things are being done. There are people coming who begin to mobilize our in our mind family. Wherever anything like this happens, we pick up all the necessary, bring it to this platform. We mobilize and make sure that actions are being taken. While we begin to target, that's a way of sending a signal and telling them we cannot continue to tolerate this in our own generation. And our children will be watching us. And some of these girls will begin to target few of them in the communities and begin, if there are a way we can also help to support some of them to start enrolling into school and everything. We can look out for partners and everything. But because this is the only way we can change the narrative. That is what I want to say. Thank you.
Wow, 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 wow. Yeah, let me remove this comment. I want to say thank you, Dr. Hope. We are so lucky. I want to bring up Dr. Miriam. She went off before. Dr. Hope, you've said it all. Let me also bring up Dr. Temitope for closing. Thank you, Dr. Temitope. We are about to close. I want to say cultural and religious practices, education, community engagement, economic factors, global perspective. First of all, I want to emphasize on this. Listen, most times the abusers, the perpetrators intimidate, they threaten, they, like you said, Dr. Hope, they beat, they abuse, they stigmatize, they do all they can to prevent you from having a voice. Let us look at global perspective as well. Sometimes what they say is, leave Oyibo people, let's do our law, let's do our own, leave Oyibo. That is what abusers will say to you. Don't mind Oyibo people, let them do their own, let us do our own. No, open your eyes, open your mind, open your mind to understand human rights. It's not about Oyibo. It's not about it's different from, they'll say their culture is different from our culture. Yes, but we have the brain, we have the mind. That is what in our mind family are here to do, to sensitize us, because empowerment, sensitization, fighting cases, these are secondary issues. The primary, main, and basic issue for in our Mind Talk show is mindset, changing the mindset of the people, giving us, opening our eyes to better life. Whether it's Oyibo that made it, after all, it's Oyibo that brought the Bible and the Quran. It came from the international nationalities. It's not Nigerians. But we were able to take that one and hold. When it comes from taking another good thing about human rights, we say no, leave it. Remember your culture. When that culture is detrimental to human life, when that culture kills and stops your future, say no to it. Say no to it. So I want to say again, education, community engagement, economic factors, global perspective are all important in preventing child marriage. Sensitizing to the impact to impact the child is important. Education, as we have all said, vital. But it's not like I said just academic education. It's also awareness. We need to do this with the family. He said the family We need to do this with academic institutions, Dr. Temitope and Dr. Miriam. In schools, start teaching. I know you say it's not in our curriculum. Yes, there are many things you say that is not in your curriculum. So when you're doing your normal teachings, Dr. Miriam, Dr. Temitope, just chip it in. Talk to them about it because it's in your curriculum to empower and educate the people. It's not when it's written that we say it. Okay, you want to say it?
And Dr. Miriam too.
I called her name now, of course. Yeah, I called her name. Yeah.
I know.
So in your teachings, please sensitize people about their rights, about all these in atrocities. Also, our TV programs, like in our mind, we are doing this. We need our TV programs to also follow suit. Our churches and religious institutions, our mosques. Some of us that are even our religious preachers, they know this, but they don't know how to say it. They are scared. Oh my God, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it. It's high time we started saying it. Because above the laws, religion, and what have you, I'll mute you, Dr. Miriam. Religion and what have you is made for man, not man for religion. The laws are made for the benefit of man, not man for the laws. So it's high time we started in our Mind Talk Show family. It's high time. There is something I just saw now. And Toyin said, I believe something must start happening from now. It's high time, Dr. Temitope. I expect you, Dr. Miriam. I expect you, when you go back to your school, start sensitizing the people. Education is not just to teach. Awareness, sensitize them. They may get all the education on earth, but because you're not teaching them about things like this, they don't know. You will say graduates, doctorate degree holders, performing it, giving out their children. Why? Because that is not, it's not about academic study. It's about general awareness. That is the real information and education that they need. We go to our churches. Dr. Hope, you're doing it already. Go to your NGOs and continue to sensitize people. So I want us to stop here. I will have to stop because, oh my God, I have to stop. So just one word from us. We will continue this topic again. I see a lot of family members. Let me read one or two things because I love them. Okoro said, God bless you for raising this topic. We'll continue this topic because it breaks my heart. Hey, family saying our Mind family, we are agents of change. Let's put into practice. I agree with you. Fetch said, love you. Fetch, I will have to call you one day. You love me too much. Machi said yes. And Jennifer said, God bless you, ma. And Zita said, it's not about education. It's not about academic education. It's about enlightenment, awareness. That is what education is, not just academic, structural, curriculum. Go outside the curriculum and empower us. So let me hear from you, starting from Dr. Miriam. Just one word. Please, let's close. We have to go. Please. Unmute and talk.
Peace to everyone. It's more than one word.
No, when I say one word, I mean short. Yes. Then one
okay,
word
peace.
to close this our topic of child rape by pedophiles.
I say peace to everyone in the family in my Mind show.
Thank you very much. Dr.
Yes.
Hope. Dr. Hope.
End to child rape, child marriage.
I don't know what you mean by marriage. There's no marriage without consent, without consent and without maturity. Thank you. I take the child rape. I am against dignifying it.
End to child rape.
Thank you. Now you're talking. I didn't know that Dr. Hope will ever in her life agree with me. I am amazed. Thank you. Dr. Temitope, unmute and give us your last word for child rape and by pedophiles.
Allow yourself to be the person that will change the world for the best around you.
Amen.
Good night, everyone.
That is in our mind. Don't go anywhere. Dr. Miriam, you're so dark. I don't think the family will see you dancing. So maybe I'll put you at the backstage so that I and Dr. Temitope will dig it. Unless you, what do you want to say?
In fact, I'm so happy. I want to see that Dr. Temitope moving. I'm so happy about this decision. I can't wait.
Yes.
It's me and Dr. Miriam that wants to dance. It's me and Dr. Miriam.
I'm on my own. It's left for you to dance your own now. I'm so happy about this decision. Thank you, Nurse Angel, for this mighty decision. You don't know how much I'm happy about this decision you have taken right now.
She said it's mighty decision. So we have to enforce it. I will put you at the backstage. Don't go anywhere. Just watch I and Dr. Temitope. Dr. Temitope, it's time to dance. Please, please stand up. Let us dance. Show us what you're made of. Stand up, Dr. Temitope, please. Stand up. Let us dance. It's a cause on the
Somebody in the building. We have an issue. Akachuka kuna buratuku magariana Nabasha kwa mato chifuna tebe Tumanukuna kudo kwa kenede Na feti lelaka no nete Kuna magasi kwa siya Mmebido Na nyabuku sirikeri neo Mana nyekisi kanyanya Mageza goni kisha siku kwa chaka Nasa hiya Okolege menu If anyone can make move, Enu abudu wajudu warode budu Imana bana bala Uko solo tafasi awa Asuna tafasi ubongo Tuwa pike buleku Aloku bela ni peke laja Nejo lajo Kafana bojo kuego Eno lado lado Nango peku kai Mbeno leku Anya buku siri geni leo Mana nyeki siri gani Abeza goni kisha simu kwa chaka Asa Konyeke menu Ife mwake metu Aye Obina somo Obina somo Nawa nwenye nyake menu Konyeke metu Tukuna
I'll bring you all to say together in our closing remark. Dr. Miriam, he's sweating. Dr. Miriam, unmute. Dr. Miriam,
Yes.
What do you have to say?
You want him hands down. I think he needs to face the police for this kind of dance stuff that we don't understand what he's doing. Dr. Temichokwe,
We can't hear you. Dr.
you need to,
Temitope, come with. We can't hear you.
he needs to please call
I
the
think
police.
I think he was holding his phone with one hand. That was why.
Exactly.
Okay.
Even when I was thinking it like this, Dr. Maria, I know you will support me.
But the truth is that even Nosenja herself, she didn't dance to the tune, to the rhythm of the song. Oh. She was
I
just
told
dancing her usual dance.
I told you guys that I was shocked. I was shocked to my bone marrow that she has shown her real color. So can we close? Can we close, please?
Yes, we can.
Madam Miriam, I would like you to give us the closing statement as we always do when we are closing.
Oh, Nurse Angel, I don't even know what to say to you because you're truly a blessing to humanity. This thing you're doing, you don't know how much impact you're making on society, on all of us. Because as we speak, something is always playing at the back of my mind that I need to do more. Personally, I need to do more. I need to do more. Thank you for this awareness. Thank you for this platform that you have created and this awareness you're generally creating, this education. You don't know how much you're bringing to the society. Thank you so much. And Dr. Temitakwe, Dr. Hope, you're phenomenal. And I am blessed to have met all of you. Thank you for everything.
It's
This is my
exactly
closing remark. Yeah.
exactly 2 hours. I will say in our mind, Dr. Temitope
And
and
then the
Madam.
family too. You know, the family being with us here all the time in our mind family. You're also phenomenal. Without you, we wouldn't be here. So, kudos goes to you too. Thank you for staying with us and thank you for the support you give to us. Thank you for all those wonderful comments, suggestions.
So we say again, in our mind, always in my mind. You need to unmute. You need to unmute. Let's say it together and end. In our mind.
Always in my mind.
Always in.
Continue. Continue.
Our destiny is in our hand.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. We need to end. We'll continue this next week. Child rape by pedophiles.